Hello again, you're watching the scrapline model railway weathering, and I'm going to be shooting a three-part video which shows you how to weather a locomotive into scrapyard condition. So as you're aware, if you watched my first video, you will be aware that I was using Humbrol products. So I've got everything ready, and as you can see, I've got a mixture of weathering powders. So I've got the rust colours, which is dark brown earth and rust with a bit of red oxide in the middle. Got the dark soot with a bit of red in there as well. This one here is a mixture of all sorts of colours. This kind of makes up the general grime shade. So basically when I finish with these sort of trays, I'll just pour everything into one pot and then just mix around and end up with that sort of colour. And I've got green with a bit of brown. That's kind of just generally used for sort of algae that grows on sort of various parts of the bodywork. And matte coat clear varnish, enamel thinners, and just a selection of brushes of all shapes and sizes. I normally use these ones for sort of all the wet paints and stuff. These ones are always used for all my dry brushing, so powders and stuff like that. A bit of tissue, and basically this is the main brush I use for doing all the paint overs, which is, I think it's a size 8. And the loco I'm going to be weathering is this class 40. It's an old model, so it's an ideal thing to, I suppose, to start practicing with, even though I quite happily work on a Backman model or high-end models. This one's a perfect candidate. I'm not sure whether it runs, and it looks like it's been sat around for a number of years, but it's a perfect one to weather into scrap condition. So the model's been cleaned down. Try and get them as dust-free as you can. We're going to start off with, obviously this is a three-part video, so I'm going to start off with doing the roof and getting that sort of into the condition of something that's been abandoned in a scrapyard or a siding for a number of years. So faded paintwork, plenty of rust and general grime. So we're going to start off by using the matte coat clear varnish mixed with white weathering powder. Going to apply this simply to the roof. So it's a diluted weathering powder mix basically, so using as much varnish as you possibly can, mixed with a very tiny amount of the white weathering powder, simply because it goes quite a long way and you don't really want to create too much of a streaky finish. So I'm going to paint the top of the loco's roof all over. Doesn't matter at this stage if you've got too much in the way of brush marks on it. We will deal with those once we've gone over the roof. If you kind of want to work a bit of time on it, it's probably best to sort of break the model up into two halves. And sort of work on one half at a time. Normally the drying time on this varnish is probably about half an hour. You can reactivate it by using a bit of thinners. Of course, if it depends on how faded you want it, it depends on how much white powder you sort of mix in with it. Okay, so I've completely now covered the roof with a white coat of matte varnish. As you can see, it's kind of just various all the way across the roof. It doesn't matter at this stage how rough it looks. We'll show you the next stage, what we do to try and get it more toned down a little bit and looking a bit less full of brush marks. Okay, so I'm now going to be using thinners. So I've cleaned the brush out, straight into thinners. What I'm going to do is just thin down the coat that's on top of it now, Just reactivates it if it's gone a bit dry as well, and then just apply a nice coat of thinners over the roof, and it gives you sort of the ability to create a weather wash basically. Also as well, as you can see, it creates little splodges of white which looks like it streaks down as well, which also adds to the effect. So play around with it for a while until you feel you've got the tones just right and the effects of the faded paint looking as it would do in real life. Okay, so I've gone across the whole roof, quite happy with the tones on that, and just got to leave it for a while just to dry. The reason will be in the next shot that I do, which is basically applying weathering powders into various places to pick out obviously anywhere where the loco would have rusted. And it's obviously best just to get it on the point where the varnish has gone tacky, that way it sort of holds onto the weathering powders when you apply it. So we'll wait for a couple of minutes just for that just to sort of dry off slightly. Okay, so I think we're pretty much ready enough now for applying some of the weathering powders. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start with the rust, which as you're aware was the rust colour, dark earth and the red oxide. So we're going to get some of the orange colour. I haven't mixed them together. The red's actually sort of in the middle, and I don't really use so much of the red because it's a bit of a strange colour when it mixed with the rust. So I'm going to start with the orange shades and just pick out some of the detailing in various areas just to get that rust in. So get a bit around there. Mix and get a bit of dark brown in there as well. Just remember to always mix your tones up. It never looks right if it's just one single colour. I'm going to get quite a fair bit on the roof vent. It never looks right. I think so. We normally rust virtually most of it, so fair bit of rust on that one. Obviously the thinners is still a little bit wet in places, but there's not to worry about that. Okay, happy enough now that I've got the enough rust tones on the roof, I think. I'm going to switch now to using the mixture of all sorts is what I'm sort of mix up just to try and get a general grime type of colour. Got it out of focus slightly there. So we're going to work on various areas of the model along the roof where just sort of general grime would build up. So get those sort of in various areas, sort of around the vents, grille, all the sort of roof covering panels, them sort of things. Not going to go too bad with this. I actually want to see more of the faded paintwork more than the grime. I think a lot of these locos, looking at images of them, they seem to look like they were parked up in sidings for some time, and a lot of the rain probably washed most of the stuff off. So you ended up with more of a faded loco with a little bit of rust here and there on them. Okay, so quite happy with that. We're going to do the whole model right across the roof. Now, around the exhaust ports, you could just stick with black, but I always think that black never looks quite right on its own, so I've actually mixed it with a very small amount of red oxide again. That in itself changes the tone slightly, I think, because the exhaust ports, when all the soot build up around them, when they were in the sort of sidings, the black kind of almost turned to a sort of blacky red colour, I noticed. So I'm going to get a little bit around there, get some of the red in there. A little bit at the front, around by the fan again, not too much. Okay, so once you've done that stage of the roof, what I'm going to do now is with this brush, which is a very fine point brush, I'm going to go into thinners. So a nice brush full of thinners, and I'm going to actually try and bind all the powders together and lock it all in. So I'm going to just dab thinners, and it should just disperse straight over all the powders, locking it all in. And it creates more of a, I suppose, a depth to the rust, rather than just kind of being like a load of powders slung over the top of the model. And there you have it. Obviously with the thinners, sometimes I streak it down the bodywork as well. We'll sort of streak it downwards, as you can see. Just making sure that you get all the powders locked in though. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. If you haven't gone too heavy with the whitewash at the beginning and you wanted to just apply just a little bit more faded paintwork to it, little top tip is just grab your white weathering powder and just do a bit of dry brushing in various areas, flick it on, find a soft paintbrush somewhere. And then just generally give it a quick wipe off. Okay, so I'm going to finish this roof off and probably do the nose ends as well. And then hopefully I shall be back with a second part video, which will be doing the loco's body sides and the front ends, which is a slightly different technique but pretty much the same. So if you like the video, please do subscribe. Any comments, any questions, again just ask in the comments section and I'll do my best to answer what I can. And yeah, I shall see you again soon. Thank you.